welcome to card number 6. So I started off with this CC Designs Reading Rebecca, and I'd stamped it onto the CCD Copic Quality white cardstock with my Memento ink as always, and then I trimmed out the image with my detail scissors. I just did that before I started filming just to save time because my camera cannot focus when I trim like that, so it's just blur anyway, and it just saved me a step. So got it all trimmed out, which makes it just slightly bit more difficult to color on camera anyway, because, you know, I've got to kind of hold it down, otherwise it's moving everywhere. So maybe not the best of ideas, but whatever. So I started off with E11 for my skin, and then I went in with E33, and now I'm going in with E35. Not being very particular about it, because it's all going to get blended together in the end anyways. So yeah, you don't have to be super perfect when laying down the initial color. It's just when you go to blend that you want to like even everything out. So I chose kind of darker skin tone since she's basically laying in the sun and getting a bit of a tan going on. So I wanted to give her kind of that look. So once I had the E35 down, I went back in with my E33 to blend that out a bit. And I'm not worrying if I go over the lines on the towel part of it, because as always I'm going to paper piece that. But we'll get to that in a minute. After I got the darker colors down, I went back in with my E11 and blended them together, and it'll look a little bit kind of mottled in the beginning just as the ink is drying like and sinking deeper into the cardstock, but it'll look good once it's done. So yeah, get everything blended just like so, and then I wasn't happy with how I didn't put enough color, in my opinion, on her legs right there. So I drug out the E33 and just kind of flicked it upwards to draw the color up a little bit higher, and then I did the same thing with the E35. And then blended it again with the 33, and then just went right back in with the 11 and blended it, and that looked way better. So got that all done, and then for her cheeks I'm using R22. Usually I use R20, but I wanted to use a bit of a darker pink this time, so I used R22. And then just took my E11 again and blended that out so it's not like a harsh splotch on her cheeks. And again, the model look, it just kind of softens like as it dries. So, and then I just used the R22 again for her lips. And then for her eyes, I'm just using B16 and just filling those right in. And then I'm using C10, and normally I would just use the black marker, but I couldn't find it. Like I'd stuck it in the wrong slot or something before I started making this card, so I couldn't find that. So my darkest is C10, which is almost black. So once I got that done, I'm going on to her hair, and I decided to go with a really light blonde. And one of the nice things when you're using like really light yellows like this is you can kind of do whatever you want. It doesn't have to be perfect and in place and everything else. Like I just basically scribbled it on. I did not go for any fancy coloring or, you know, the strands of hair or anything. Just literally scribbled it on. So until you get to the Y06 here, you couldn't even really see it very well, so it just works. So once got her hair done, quick and simple, I'm going on to her little bikini and just using B21 and then going in with B23, just like so, and then again blending it out with the B21 again. So got all that, and then oh, her sunglasses. Again, like I said, I couldn't find my black, so I used C8, and I actually got the idea for this from the stamp packaging because it was already colored. Normally I don't think of this stuff when I'm coloring, it's usually afterward. It's like, oh, so leaving white spaces in the middle there to show kind of like a reflection on the sunglasses. So I did C8, and then I just went over it with my C10. Very using just the tip of the marker, because these two are, I don't use very often, so they're really saturated and dark, and you don't want them like bleeding everywhere and like destroying pale blonde hair. So once that's done, just cover the book, I just use RV25, and then I just added a little bit of BG quadruple 0 to the white just to make it look more white. And then for her eyes, I'm just using a Marvie Laplume pigment marker, a white one, and I just dabbed it onto a scrap of cardstock first to make sure it didn't pool everywhere, because I just wanted to add those two little teeny white dots to her eyes, and it just finished it off. So that's it for the coloring of that. And then, like I said, I paper pieced her towel, and I'm just using pattern paper from the Fancy Pants Beach Babe 6x6 pack. So I'd stamp that onto the pattern paper and then cut it out. And then, as always, my Tombow Mono Multi to adhere it into place. Just pulling it down to make sure you can see all the lines. And then of course, never leaving it just like that. You got to add a bit of shadow and whatnot to it so it's not just floating there. So I'm using my W3 marker and just adding shadow all around her on the towel, and then I blended that out with my W1. So I've got that all nice and blended, and then I decided I wanted to deepen that a little bit. I didn't like how light it was, so I went in with my W5, which is a fair bit darker, and just around the edges there, added that, and then blended it out a little bit more with W3 again. And all the marker was still a bit wet, so it just kind of everything just blended together really nice. So once that's done, it's onto the card itself. So like I said, pattern paper from the Fancy Pants Beach Babe pack. Kind of had a layout in mind before I started this card. So once I have everything where I want it, just like so, I just grabbed some grosgrain ribbon from my stash. This is blue grosgrain. I have no idea where that ribbon came from. I got it, I think, in a ribbon haul years ago, years and years. I have tons of it. And I never use it because I usually like wider ribbon on my cards, but I liked the color of this because it matched almost perfectly, and yeah, so wrap that around the card front, then just plain old Scotch tape to tape it to the back of the card, and then yeah, a second piece to tie it in a bow. And I do have a bow tutorial on my channel. You just have to search for it because I got a lot of questions about that. It's more just years of practice, really. When I first started tying bows, they did not turn out perfectly. So once I've got the bow where I want it, I'm just using my 3D foam dimensionals to pop this little Reading Rebecca up on the card front. Let's get all those in place, peel off the backing, and then just press it on there. And then finally for the last little bit of embellishment, I just had one of these, they're Doodlebug seashell braddies. I've had them for years. I don't even think you can get them anymore, but I just had them sitting out here because I was hoarding them for years and never used them. So I just thought that would just be a cute little something. So once I got that, it's time to move on to the sentiment, which is from my Oh So Beachy set. I use it VersaFine Onyx Black ink, stamped onto just some yellow cardstock, and then punched it out with a circle punch. Kind of thinking like, you know, just to give the illusion of that'd be like the sun. So yeah, stamped that. I was going to put it on dimensionals and then decided not to. There's enough dimension with the main image, so I just adhered that to the card front. And then I'm going to mat the card front with some pink cardstock, just like so. So mat that with the pink, adhere that into place, and then I'm going to apply that to the card base, which I decided to do in green cardstock. So always my ATG adhesive. Totally love this thing. I know a lot of people are turned off because of the size of it, but I don't have a problem with it at all. Love it. So adhere that to the card base itself, and then of course, as always, I couldn't leave as is. I had to add a little bit of sparkle. So just some diamond stickles, very lightly dabbing it on her book and on her bathing suit, and then just because I could, I added some to her hair too, because I thought, why not? So fun summer card, gotta have a little bit of sparkle to it. And then that was it for the card front. The inside I kept super simple. I didn't even bother with the sentiment or anything. I just used the same pattern papers I used on the outside. Kind of fiddled with how I want to do the layout of them because I wanted to leave enough open space to be able to write something. But yeah, super simple, nothing fancy. So I adhered those together and then adhered that to the inside, and that's it for the card. So as always, there will be a link below to my blog post with links to all the supplies used. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye!